Do you believe that a conversation in an elevator can change lives? Gabrielle, a millionaire accustomed to control and efficiency, discovered that the answer is yes, and in a way he never imagined. It all started with Isabella, an elevator operator in a wheelchair whose sharp humor and strength of spirit dismantled prejudices and opened doors, for her and for him. What seemed like a trivial encounter turned into a journey of overcoming and transformation, where Gabriel realized that true power is not in money, but in the people who choose to move forward, against all adversity. Get ready for a story that will hold your attention from beginning to end, with exciting twists and lessons that only the unexpected can bring. Gabriel hurriedly entered the Orion Corp building, as he did every day. His cell phone vibrated incessantly, while he barely paid attention to his surroundings. It was always the same routine: meetings, critical decisions, and busy schedules. When he reached the elevator, he looked up quickly and stopped. A woman in a wheelchair was operating the panel, wearing an impeccable uniform and a name tag reading Isabella. "Good morning, sir," she said with a polite smile. "Which floor?" Gabriel hesitated for a moment before responding. 14th. 14th rising, she replied, pressing the button with precision. His tone was warm, but Gabriel was still surprised. During the climb, he tried to ignore his curiosity, but ended up breaking the silence. "Are you new here?" "Yes, I started recently," replied Isabella, with a naturalness that disconcerted Gabriel. "I'm the new elevator operator. As you can see, special edition." "Special edition?" he repeated, confused. She laughed lightly, pointing to the wheelchair. "I don't see many like me around here, right? I thought I would notice." Gabriel showed a discreet smile. "I wasn't used to such direct answers, especially from employees." "Well, I must admit that it is not common. But I guarantee it works perfectly," said Isabella, maintaining her humor. "If you need anything, just let me know. Bringing people up is my job." When the elevator reached the 14th floor, Gabriel hesitated before getting out. Something about her attitude intrigued him. "You're different." "I hope in a good way," Isabella replied, waving slightly. "Have a great day, Mr. Gabriel." As the day went on, he couldn't get the interaction out of his mind. Gabriel, who was normally indifferent to people outside his circle, now found himself thinking about that woman. There was something about her, something he couldn't quite put his finger on, but that made him want to know more. The next morning, the scenario repeated itself. Gabriel found Isabella in the elevator, this time helping a visitor carry heavy bags. "You seem to enjoy what you do," Gabriel commented, watching as she handled everything with impressive skill. "I like it, yes," replied Isabella with a slight smile. "People come and go, each with a story. I guess I'm a collector of stories." Gabriel frowned, intrigued. "Story collector?" "Yes, everyone has something to tell. The question is, who stops to listen?" She looked him in the eyes for a moment before turning her attention to the elevator controls. As the elevator rose, Gabriel found himself smiling. "That's a good one. Collector of stories. I've never heard that before." "Well, it's a hobby that doesn't take up space but fills the soul," joked Isabella. The elevator reached Gabriel's floor, but before leaving, he stopped for a second. "I have a feeling you have a very interesting story. I hope you tell me one day." Isabella smiled, but did not respond directly. When the doors closed, Gabriel realized that for the first time in a long time, he was actually curious about someone outside his usual bubble. Something about Isabella made him want to know more, even if he still didn't know exactly why. In the days that followed, Gabriel couldn't help but notice Isabella. It wasn't just the wheelchair that made her different, but the way she interacted with the people around her. Whenever someone entered the elevator, Isabella welcomed them with a warm smile, often releasing a witty phrase that made even the most serious people laugh. "Good morning. Which floor?" "Don't worry, my driving is the most reliable in the building," she said to a visitor who seemed lost. Gabriel, watching from afar, felt increasingly curious. It was unusual to find someone who exuded so much confidence in circumstances that most would consider limiting. On one of his busiest days, he ended up getting into the elevator at the same time as a group of employees. Isabella was there, as always, keeping everything under control. "Fourth floor, please," asked one of the employees. "Guaranteed fourth floor. Anyone else? I'm here to fulfill your wishes and push your buttons, in a good way, of course," said Isabella, making the group laugh. Gabriel, in the corner, observed the scene. He couldn't remember the last time such a simple employee had such an impact on those around him. When the elevator stopped on the fourth floor, the group left, but Gabriel remained, looking at Isabella. "You have an interesting skill with people," he commented, as the elevator continued. "Thank you," she replied, pressing another button. "I usually say that smiling is a way to survive. It's lighter than complaining, you know?" Gabriel let out a light laugh. "I imagine so. And you seem to be good at it." "Practice," said Isabella, without losing her humor. "In the beginning it wasn't easy. People don't really know how to handle a wheelchair. Either they look too much or they pretend you're not even there. I chose to make it easier for them." The answer stuck in Gabriel's head as he got out of the elevator on his floor. Later, he found himself thinking about it, making it easier for others. It was a way of looking at life that he had never considered. The next day, Gabriel met Isabella again. This time, the elevator was empty. "So, Mr. Gabriel, any deep reflections today?" she asked with a smile on her face. "Actually, yes. I think I'm learning more from you than in my leadership meetings," he replied with a hint of jest. I should charge for that," said Isabella, laughing, "but I'm happy to help." Gabriel entered the elevator that morning determined to learn more about Isabella. The mystery surrounding her never left his mind, and his curiosity led him to start a conversation more directly. "So, Isabella," he began as the doors closed, "I always see you smiling. What makes you so positive?" Isabella laughed, adjusting her chair. "You ask as if it were something rare, but well, I think the secret is simple. I spent so much time dealing with bad things that I learned to value the good things. Smiling makes the day go by faster." Gabriel tilted his head, intrigued. "And what brought you here to Orion Corp?" That's a long story. Are you sure you want to hear it?" she asked with an eyebrow raised. "Absolutely," Gabriel replied, crossing his arms, as if preparing for a big revelation. Isabella took a deep breath before starting. "I had an accident a few years ago. She was young, full of plans and, why not say so, full of myself. I thought the world revolved around me. Until one day everything changed. A distracted driver, a crash, and here we are." Gabriel didn't respond immediately. He was absorbing what she was saying. "It must have been a very difficult period," he said finally. "Yes, it was. I won't lie, but do you know what I discovered? That I can live without walking, but not without purpose. Starting over was the hardest part, but also the most liberating. When I realized that I could still be useful, everything changed." "And how did you end up working here?" Gabriel asked with genuine interest. "I needed a job, and someone recommended me for a job as an elevator operator. It wasn't what I dreamed of course, but it was a chance, and here I am, trying to make an elevator a less boring place." Gabriel smiled at the answer, but his heart was heavy. He had always believed that success came from effort and merit, but now he realized that not everyone had the same opportunities to start. "You're amazing, you know that?" He looked directly at Isabella. "I don't think I've ever met anyone so resilient." "I prefer stubborn," joked Isabella. "Resilient is just a nice word for those who decide to continue, even when everything tells them to stop." When the elevator stopped at her floor, Gabriel felt like there was so much more to learn from her, and for the first time in years, he began to question his own worldview. That afternoon, Gabriel was in the executive floor meeting room when he heard commotion in the hallways. Excited voices echoed through the building, and he looked out the window only to see a group of visitors crowded into the reception area, arguing with one of the staff. Something happened in the electrical system. Elevators locked, air conditioning turned off. Complete chaos, his assistant explained as he entered the room. Gabriel frowned and hurried out to see what was going on. In the lobby, visitors gestured irritably, and staff seemed at a loss for what to do. In the middle of the confusion, there was Isabella, calm and confident, trying to organize people. "Gentlemen, please let us resolve this together. The system is down, but that doesn't mean we can't find solutions. Taking a deep breath is the first step," she said, smiling, while gesturing for everyone to sit down. Gabriel stood still for a moment, observing the way Isabella handled the situation. She distributed instructions to employees, explaining that they needed to use the stairs temporarily and prioritize serving visitors. "Isabella, are you sure about this?" asked a security guard, clearly in doubt. "Yes, and if something goes wrong, you can blame me later. Now help people with reduced mobility first," she replied without hesitation. Gabriel couldn't help but smile. "You're managing everything better than half my directors," he commented, moving closer. "Well, someone needs it, right?" Isabella replied, with a slight joking tone. "I think I'm good at improvising. And honestly, who else here has practice dealing with obstacles on a daily basis?" He laughed, but Isabella's words stayed in his mind. As the confusion subsided and technicians worked to restore the system, Gabriel noticed something he had never noticed before. There was a strength in Isabella that he had never found in her impeccably suited executives. Later, when reflecting on the episode, Gabriel gathered his team. "Today, I saw an example of leadership that did not come from a leadership position," he said, looking at the assembled directors. "We have talent here that we ignore every day, and that needs to change." That emergency was a watershed moment. Gabriel began to rethink the way he led and how he evaluated talent in his company. Isabella, without realizing it, had planted a seed that would change Orion Corp forever. A few weeks had passed since the electrical system incident, but Gabriel couldn't forget the impact Isabella had made. Not only had she managed the situation calmly and efficiently, but she had also inspired her team to rethink their own attitudes. He knew it was time to act. That morning, Gabriel entered the elevator, as he did every day. There was Isabella, operating the controls with the same precision and serenity. When he entered, she smiled. "Good morning, Mr. Gabriel. Which floor today? Any special destination or just more endless meetings?" Gabriel laughed lightly. "Good morning, Isabella. In fact, today is different. I need to talk to you." Isabella raised her eyebrows in surprise. "Did I do something wrong? Can you tell me first so I can come up with a convincing excuse?" He shook his head, smiling. "Nothing like that. I'm here to make a proposal. I want you to take on a new role at Orion Corp." She tilted her head, clearly intrigued. "What do you mean, a new role? Are you thinking of promoting me to button supervisor?" Gabriel laughed. "Almost that, but not quite. I want you to join our management team. His leadership skills, his way of dealing with people and solving problems, all of this is exactly what we need at Orion Corp." For a moment, Isabella was silent. The elevator continued to rise, but it was clear that his mind was racing. "Wait, are you serious? I work on the administrative team. You know I'm just an elevator operator, right?" "You're not just anything, Isabella," replied Gabriel firmly. "You showed something many of my directors never showed: true leadership, empathy, calm under pressure. Not only did you keep the building running in that emergency, but you also helped people stay calm. This is worth more than any diploma or title." She took a deep breath, still processing what he said. "Gabriel, I don't want to be seen as a charitable gesture. I don't want people to think you're just putting me there to fill a quota or appear inclusive. And you won't be. he assured. "You will be there because you are competent, because it deserves it. But if you prefer, I also accept a no. It's your choice." Isabella crossed her arms and looked at him with an amused smile. "Are you used to hearing no?" "Every now and then," Gabriel admitted, smiling back. "But I hope today isn't one of those days." She was silent for a few more seconds before sighing. "Okay, Mr. Gabriel, I accept. I just hope you know what you're getting into." "Somehow, I'm sure it will be a great decision," he replied, pressing the button for the next floor. In the months that followed, Isabella assumed her new role at Orion Corp. Its impact was immediate. Gabriel encouraged her to share her ideas, and she stood out with innovative proposals, mainly aimed at improving working conditions and accessibility within the company. One day, during a board meeting, Isabella gave a presentation about inclusive changes for employees from different contexts. When he finished, one of the more conservative directors made a sarcastic remark. "Very inspiring, but does it really bring financial results?" Gabriel intervened before Isabella could respond. "If you don't bring it, you should. Motivated and respected employees produce more. And if anyone here still has doubts, I suggest you look at the impact Isabella has had since joining the team." Isabella smiled but didn't fail to respond with good humor. "After all, it's always good to remember the elevator operator is watching you." The room erupted in laughter, but the impact of Gabriel's words was clear. Isabella was no longer just an employee. She was a leader who inspired everyone around her. The partnership between the two has become a symbol of how unlikely connections can change lives and transform organizations. Gabriel, in turn, felt transformed. He understood that success was not just about numbers and results, but about the legacy he left on people. And Isabella was the person who showed him this.